If you've tried intuitive eating already and you still feel stuck, or perhaps you're just really confused about what it means, then this video is definitely the video for you. My name's Georgina Wright. I'm an intuitive eating counsellor and former physiotherapist. I spent decades hating my body in the pursuit of being thin and did every diet under the sun to get to that goal that I thought would make my life better. And spoiler alert, it didn't. It just gave me a lot of problems with food, such as binge eating, overeating, emotional eating, and I became really obsessed with food and had a very, very low sense of self-esteem and body image. The change that I made to help me with all of those problems was to discover the evidence-based self-care framework of intuitive eating, and that for me not only transformed my health but wider aspects of my life as well. And so my aim with these videos is to give you hope that the same is possible for you too. Intuitive eating is an evidence-based, non-diet, weight-neutral approach to rebuilding trust in your body again by being able to follow a self-care framework made up of 10 principles. So where you may have been using food rules or calorie counting or weighing and measuring food or weighing and measuring yourself, intuitive eating encourages you and teaches you instead to eat food that's truly satisfying, to stop following food rules, to learn to listen to your hunger and fullness cues instead, to cope with your emotions with kindness, and to consider neutral thoughts around your body and body image, and that's just to name but a few. Some of the things that are included in the 10 principles of intuitive eating are rejecting diet culture, moving your body for how you want to feel rather than how you want to look, adding gentle nutrition into your food choices, as well as making peace with food. So there's so many different aspects of the framework, and each one holds a really key part to you moving away from controlling food through dieting to finally being able to be really at peace with food, coming from a place of trust around food rather than control, and just feeling that much greater sense of contentment within yourself, which then leads to a ripple effect into all the other areas of life that are really important to you. So myth one of intuitive eating is that it just means eating whatever you want, whenever you want, and that is definitely not true. Intuitive eating is always with a caveat and nuance of responding to your eating cues with a number of different factors to consider. Satisfaction is really important, so having what you truly want to eat is key, but putting that alongside honouring hunger and honouring fullness in those decisions, making peace with food so that you're no longer putting food on a pedestal or seeing foods as good or seeing foods as bad. As soon as you bring in these key components of intuitive eating, it helps you to realise that the process of intuitive eating isn't just a free-for-all of eating what you want with abandon. It's very much about cueing back into your inbuilt wisdom of your body and carefully and logically going through a process of relearning the skills that were lost through dieting, so that yes, you can eat whatever you want, but actually by eating whatever you want with the things I've just shared, that means eating when there's comfortable hunger present, stopping when you feel comfortably full, choosing foods that make you feel good physically and mentally, so that you're ultimately going to be eating with balance and variety, but no longer feeling guilty about your food choices that you're making. Myth number two is that the fear of if I stop dieting, I'll never stop eating is what might stop somebody from considering trying intuitive eating. And that is a really understandable fear. Once again, the reality is that when you finally stop dieting and you stop creating narratives and beliefs around food being off limits or being bad or being forbidden, then that urgency to eat begins to settle. Also, if you're somebody that's dieted to extremes where you let yourself get overly hungry, that often drives this pattern of overeating. By stopping dieting and going through the intuitive eating framework, You're going to be learning to eat regularly again, to honour those hunger and fullness cues, to eat with satisfaction, to address any emotional eating patterns that may have been affecting your choices. And with all these principles in place, it gives you structure and safety, and ultimately it reduces all those patterns of overeating, binge eating, emotional eating, loss of control eating, and allows you to honour what your body truly wants and needs with variety and balance. So your body ultimately will settle into a pattern where eating feels good and you eat just the right amount for you. And that might look different for you than it does to the next person, because you're listening to your unique needs and you're not following some generic diet or with a certain goal in mind of how you should look or what you should weigh. It allows you to truly find peace within yourself, and your eating patterns will reflect that. So myth number 3 is that intuitive eating isn't healthy and it just means giving up. And I'm delighted to say that's very untrue indeed. And the reason that I'm so confident about that is because there's been so many studies done on intuitive eating, and these are studies that are published in dietetic journals, medical journals. They've got a really strong academic base to them. And the conclusion of many of these studies, if we look at physical, mental, and emotional benefits, is that they improve all of these areas of health in a multitude of ways. So if we look at physical improvements, blood sugar levels have been shown to improve, cholesterol levels have been shown to improve, and blood pressure has been shown to improve, and that's just a few of many benefits. There's also a lower incidence of eating disorder patterns that have been observed through these studies, a reduction in overeating, a reduction in binge eating, and a reduction in emotional eating patterns. So you can see how wonderful these different benefits are when you start to add them all up. Mentally, people feel a lot more peaceful in themselves, more trusting of themselves, less food noise, less food obsession, and a greater contentment within themselves. And that leads to a greater contentment with that ripple effect that it creates in other areas of your life. So I hope you found that video helpful and inspiring today. And if you want to get started with intuitive eating, do feel welcome to download my free beginner's guide to intuitive eating, which is just in the link below. And then you can get into that energy of making changes that are actually sustainable. And everything I'm teaching here is all about long-term success, long-term changes that you can stick to without any willpower. And I will look forward to seeing you in the next video.